It is Thursday. It's another episode of the Late Night Vision Show. Thank y'all for joining us. It's good to be back to you. We always enjoyed producing these shows, getting them ready for you. And I know that as much work as it is to do these shows, the reward definitely outweighs all of that. And the first one to tell you, and the first one to be most excited about recording these shows every week, is our own Jason Robertson, the owner of Outdoor Legacy. What's going on? What are we talking about this week?
We've got a big show. This is a topic that we have been getting requests for probably for a couple years, to be honest with you. We're talking about the Pulsar Krypton 640 high resolution thermal clip-on. And this unit, this has been a lot of buzz around this unit. It's been in Europe for a good while, finally made its way to the U.S. You and I have been testing it for a while. And
that's what I was going to say, because it hasn't been out for a couple of years, but it's been out in Europe for quite a long time. We've had people asking about the Pulsar clip-ons, the Krypton and the Proton, which we haven't yet reviewed as well. But like, when are y'all going to? When does it come to the United States? When are you going to be talking about it? So the Europeans, they had it for quite a bit longer than we had it here in the United States, and we've had them for a little bit and been testing them. But yeah, the anticipation has been there for a very long time.
A very long time. Yeah, and to be clear, you and I have had these units for a while. We had them before they were released, the Krypton and the Proton. We've had them both. They are both available, in stock for sale now. But we've had them, been testing them. Like I said, I don't know. What do we have them? A couple months before they even came out. So they've been out on the market now for a while.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this, say that up front. This is a complicated optic. I mean, the complicated review, there's a lot going on here. You're going to see that when we get into it. That's one of the reasons Hans and I waited so long to actually review this. We wanted to really get in here and figure a lot of stuff out with these, figure out, kind of who they're good for, who they're not, just some things about them. We wanted to be a little more sure of ourselves before we reviewed it. And I think we've got enough time behind them. We're as ready as we'll ever be.
We are ready as we ever be. And we talked about it a lot this morning. We've been planning for it. The idea of clip-ons is such a talked about topic, on the forums, on social media. Anytime any company mentions a clip-on, everybody gets really excited. The excitement for the Pulsar Krypton and Proton has been some of the biggest excitement we've seen about any product for a long time, as far as the lead up to the launch and the release. And I'm going to say, and I'll say this, and not to outrun myself on the review, this optic is going to be perfect for somebody out there, but you need to stay tuned to the show to see if you are that right somebody, because it's not for everybody, just like any optic, but it's perfect for somebody. Yeah. So if you are interested in clip-ons, if you are a Pulsar fan, definitely stick with us. We're going to get into the specs, the ID ranges. Jason's going to be showing the optic. I've got the optic mounted on a rifle, so I'm going to fumble with it. If you are listening on iTunes, listen on any audio-only version, if you want to see Jason and I fumble around and look goofy on camera trying to handle this thing, go hop on over to YouTube. But as always, if you're interested in purchasing any night vision or thermal optic and you have questions, you need to know what compares to this, the image to this, whatever. If you're trying to figure it all out, give Jason and I a call at 877-350-1818. You can find all of our optics on outdoorlegacygear.com. Jason, do you have anything you want to add before we jump right into the specs?
I have two things. One, Hans was right. Folks, if you have an interest in this optic, watch this entire show. Yeah. Okay? I know these shows are long, and we talk a lot, and I know, some guys really like that. Some guys really hate that. Here's the thing. If you're looking at spending $5,300 on this unit, it is worth your time to watch this show and see really what's going on with this. And the reason is, you may get to the end of it and go, yep, that's exactly what I need. I just wasted 45 minutes. I already knew that before. But I think there's going to be some people get to the end and go, wait a minute, this may not be exactly what I need. There may be another Pulsar optic that's going to suit me better. I might not need to get this. So we don't want somebody to make a $5,300 mistake. And we want to make sure that the guy who's maybe on the edge makes the right choice and buys it. So that's going to be number one. Number two, I'm going to talk about an elephant in the room. This is for our listeners who have been with the Late Night Vision show for a long time. Maybe you're a customer of Outdoor Legacy. You've talked to Hans and I, and you know what our past public comments about clip-ons is. We've got a whole show. I don't remember the show number. We talked about clip-ons and why we didn't think they were the right choice for most people. And so I've had a lot of guys asking, okay, the Krypton's out. I know y'all are using it. I see you're selling it. So has your opinion changed on clip-ons? Yeah. And I would say this, watch to the end of the show. And I think that we'll give you our opinion at the end if we have completely changed our mind on clip-ons or not. So stick with us. All right, Hans, let's get into this thing. We got a lot to talk about in a short time to do it.
Yeah, we do have a lot. So let's get into the specs. And Jason basically gave away the hill of beans or all the beans or whatever, any reference to beans there is when it comes to giving away the surprise. The price on it's $5,300. It's just under $5,300. To be exact, $5,299.97.
There you go.
So you can keep that 3 cents and shove it where I don't know what are you gonna do with it.
Not gonna buy any gas, that's for sure.
No, exactly. So it's a 640 by 480 thermal core resolution, and you're gonna see me look down at my notes. Maybe Jason's gonna show this. I'm gonna show the optic while we're doing it, but I've got a bunch of notes, so I'm gonna be looking down while I'm doing it. 640 by 480 thermal core resolution is a 12 micron, 50 hertz refresh rate. The display resolution, kind of an unusual number here. It's 1,746 by 1,000. So take that for what it is. Doesn't really mean a lot to you, but that's what you got. It is basically no magnification. It starts out on 1x magnification, so essentially no magnification through the clip-on, which you would kind of expect. But if you use it in monocular mode, Jason, you can talk about that later as far as how to briefly, we don't spend a lot of time, but how to turn it into a monocular. If you have it in monocular mode with the attachment, it starts out on 5x. So that's a lot for a monocular. Here we get into the complicated part. And again, I'm going to keep saying we're going to talk about this later because there's a lot to discuss. The recommended daytime optic for this is going to be a 1.5 to 6 power. I have mine mounted on a 3x9 by 50. So 3 power to 9 power by 50 millimeter objective lens Vortex is what I had mine on. And that's what I tested on all the videos that you see. That's what I was using. So we'll be rolling videos as well. It says it's got a detection range of 2,300 yards. That's a lot. But while we're in this section, I'll talk about what I experienced with ID range. The videos that you see and that you're looking at, clearly you can see deer at 300 yards, know exactly what they are. I've got videos of hogs at 400, 450 yards, could clearly tell that they were hogs. I feel safe to say that the identification range is conservatively 400 to 500 yards. It might be further in some situations, but I would be conservative to say that because we've got videos and you can tell exactly what it looks like at that range. If you disagree, Jason, you can bring that up at the very tail end of this show when the music's playing. How about that? It does have video and audio recording, very similar to all the Pulsar products. It has 2 color palettes, white hot and black hot. Very easy to switch back and forth on that. It does have it's got a rechargeable, removable battery pack. It's an IPS7 8-hour battery pack on it. The operating temperatures, minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a very big, wide range. It is waterproof, IPX7 rating. And I'm going to show it right now since this is the last spec I'm going to talk about. Fully loaded, this optic, and I'm going to say when I say fully loaded, that means with the attachments and the battery on it, it's 20 28 ounces. So just a little under 2 pounds. So Jason, while you're talking, I'm going to show this optic on the rifle itself and on the scope, and then I'm going to take it off. And
here's the thing. I think that you need to go ahead and show that because when I'm talking, I'm going to be showing what's in the box. So we can't be both showing at once. So why don't you go ahead and show them on the rifle?
Yeah. So here's what it looks on the rifle. It's hard to get my mouth close to the microphone. I'm holding it like this. So obviously I've got my 3x9 Vortex scope here. Get your attachments. You get your battery pack. You can kind of get a sense of what it looks like. Like again, they recommend that you use it on a 1.5 to 6 power optic, but that's what it looks like fully loaded on the rifle. The way it sits right now, 28 ounces. So you're good to go, Jason. I'm cleared up. I've set it down now. I'm going to take it off.
Okay, so we're we're good.
We're fumbling, y'all. We're fumbling. Go ahead.
All
It's you got to show this thing on the rifle because that's the whole part of it. But we're not used to showing optics with daytime optics as well. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull this case up, and I'm gonna show you what this thing comes in. I'm gonna have to probably get far from the microphone as well because this thing comes in a big hard case, and
you described it as a suitcase. Basically.
It is a suitcase. I'm gonna move the microphone away a little bit. Hang on, this thing is huge. It's gonna completely take up the whole screen, cover me up. Some people probably like that better. It is giant. I mean this. I mean I'll say this. My let me get the mic back over here. I'm figuring that the reason the box is this big is because somebody got a really, really good deal on this size because it didn't need to be quite this big. I'm gonna lift this up and show it now. You can see, folks. You can barely see. Oh my gosh, this is so clumsy here. I'm gonna try it again. I mean, there's a lot of spare room. I don't know. I don't know why the box was this big, but okay. So I'm gonna show you what's in the box, and this is fumbling around. All right, so you've got your bag in the box that the unit itself comes in. All right, little zippered bag here. So we've got the unit itself. All right, we'll do a walk around on this in just a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what's in the box. So there's the unit. I'm going to do this real quickly. You don't need to see this. I'm even going to take it out of the packaging. There is a wall charger. There is the little cradle charger that you're going to put the battery in. Here, I'll tell you what, we'll show you this because the battery's not on it. I took that off, making all this noise. All right, here is the battery. It does have a cradle charger. It's got a cable right here. You can plug that directly into the wall to charge it. Also, something interesting I haven't seen for a long time, Pulsar is including their little remote control. This is something used to come with a lot of their optics years ago. They quit because really nobody needed them or used them, but it's back. And it's not something that I used with this unit, but I can see where some people might want to because you're going to have to reach way out there to manipulate the scope and get in the menu and do those things. So some people might want to use that themselves, as a way to not have to reach so far out. So, all right, you're going to get 2 adapters. These, you've already seen these on Hans's rifle, on his scope. These are one's called, they're called a PSP50 and a PSP42. And basically, this is going to mount to the unit itself. I'll show that in a second. And then this is going to go onto the bell or the objective lens of your daytime optic. There's these little inserts in here, and this is how you get it to fit all the different, objective lens bell. I can't say bell of your scope, the different sizes for the different objective lens. You see all these? All these are little rubber inserts that you can take out and you can put inside of here to make sure that it fits tightly. And there's a bunch. There's a lot going on here, folks. You got 2 different ones of these, then you got a ton of these. And what you're going to do is you're going to tighten this down. When you get it and it slides on there good and firm, then there's this throw lever, this locking lever, and you'll lock that down. And if it's not tight enough, you go, man, it fits snug, but this doesn't seem to be doing much. You can you can go in here. There's a little Allen head screw or bolt, and you can tighten that up. When you tighten this down, folks, you want it to be snug, but if you got to come over here and put 4 fingers on here, don't. You can screw up your daytime scope if you get this way too tight and you've got all this leverage that's squeezing down. So be careful with that. You want it tight enough that it doesn't move, tight enough that it doesn't fall off, but not so tight that you're going to damage your daytime scope. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. You've also got a bunch of these little Allen wrenches in here. This is for all the adjustments you're going to need to tighten this thing up. I'll show that in a minute. This is the very best way to mount this. This comes in the US version. This is a quick detach mount made for a Picatinny rail. My advice, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll give this away now. We'll bring it back and talk about it later. My advice, the very best way to mount this is on an AR-15 or a rifle that has a rail all the way out in front of the scope. I know immediately a lot of the bolt action shooters in the room go, well, that doesn't help me. Well, you've got these, if that's what you're going to do, but this is by far the easiest, the best, the quickest, the most secure way to mount this is on a rail. So if you have that option, that's what I would do. If not, then you need to use these adapters. That's basically everything that's in the box. All of that comes with the Krypton. Okay. Again, there may be some different stuff in the UK or in Australia. We're talking about the US. This is what comes here. Now, I'm going to do a quick walk around of this unit, and then I'm going to show a little more about how it works. So this is the Krypton. You are looking at the top of it. So normally it would be sitting like this. I'm going to go ahead and put the battery on it. So right here, you've got this locking lever, and this is just a protector plate that comes on it. You don't need that. And then you will put this battery on the side. All right, so now the battery is locked in. So there's your battery. Again, we're looking at the top of the unit. This is the focus. So this focuses the objective lens. And so even though, you got to think about it, even though you're putting this on your scope and you may have to adjust the diopter on your scope to make sure that it's clear when you're looking at the screen inside of here, you're still going to have to focus this optic. All right. So there's the focus. And then here are your control buttons. And you've got, basically a menu button, then your left and right to go through the menu. You've got your power button, and you can also use these buttons for other things. This will start and stop recording, what have you. On this side, basically, there's a little Weaver Picatinny rail. There is a USB battery pack. That is one way that you can get the videos off this unit. You can also use an external battery pack if for some reason you needed to. But you're looking at 6 or 8 hours of battery here. I don't think you're going to need that. Lens cap. This is a very different lens cap from what we're used to with Pulsar. It is a twist lock, kind of a strange thing. So normally we're used to the hinged lens caps. I have no idea why they didn't use that here. It's a twist lock. And then right back here. All right, we're almost done. This is just a little rubber cap, and this protects not only your threads that are here, but it protects the screen that's in there. So your scope is going to be looking at that screen. So I'm going to show you this real quick. If you were going to use this Picatinny mount, you are just going to take this, and I said you're just going to do this if I can get these threads started. Yeah, and you're gonna screw this in. There is I already dropped it. It is not working as planned. There is all these. This is such a disaster. Okay, it's going. There's all these threads. I'm not going to show you. You know how to thread something on. So basically, you would mount this on your Picatinny rail, and this would sit right out front. Also, here, I'll show it because I know there's going to be a lot of guys that are using this on their daytime scope. Same exact thing, okay? You just, and Hans probably knows what I'm fixing to show.
I have no clue.
Yeah, you do. You're going to know when I start showing. But I'm trying to get
Yeah.
this mounted. Get
Right,
this
right.
screwed in here. All right.
Yeah.
There it goes. All right. Here's why. You see why this is so hard? Look at this, folks. All right. The reason this is flopping around is so that you can get this lined up perfectly with your scope. That's, you see this? That there is those female threads in there that I'm screwing into are loose as a goose. It's like a barrel in there, and they can move any direction, 360 degrees all around. And that's good. You want that. So when you get this right where you want, you're going to come right up here on the top. You're going to take those Allen wrenches and you're going to tighten this up, and you're going to get it pretty tight where you can still move it. Watch, I'm going to show y'all just a little bit, left to right, up, down, get it right where you want, and you're going to tighten that down. Okay. And so that is going to have to be done to make sure that you get it perfectly lined up. And the way to know is you're going to turn it on. You're going to look through your daytime scope into this, and you're going to go, okay, where does this need to be? And that, I'm going to tell you, it takes 3 hands to do that. Okay. So it takes 3. You may need somebody to hold that, because you can't have the thing flopping around. You got to get it pretty tight. Right. And then you just make those fine adjustments, and then you tighten it up. Okay. So I know this has been cumbersome, and guys, there's a lot here. There's a lot to this. I want to explain a couple things, and I'm going to put this box down. It is all up in my way, and I shouldn't need it anymore. Okay, so when you turn on the menu in this is going to be different than other Pulsar optics. So a normal Pulsar optic, or really any brand of optic, normally the menu pops up on the left side of your screen. Really cool, great idea. Pulsar made a circular menu that pops up right in the center of your display screen. Okay. And so it's right there in the middle, and you still use your left and right, and it just makes a circle. You can go, check out all the different things there and whatever you need to do in there. That's really cool. At the bottom of the display, and this is going to be important in a minute, Hans knows where I'm going with this. At the bottom, you still have your normal information strip. That shows all kinds of things. It shows whether you're in black hot or white hot. It shows the calibration mode, whether you're in automatic, semi, or manual. There's a little timer comes up that lets you know if you're in auto calibration that it's going to recalibrate in 3, 2, 1, 0 seconds. You've got your shows if the Wi-Fi is on. It shows what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the gosh, I'm going blank on the word, Hans. Whether you're in the rock trees, what mode, what mode you're in. Yeah.
Preset mode.
Preset mode. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah. Also shows down there, because this is different, guys. A normal Pulsar optic, when you press the record button up in your very top, I want to say it's in the left side of the screen, it pops up showing you that you're recording, and there's a counter there, shows how many seconds or minutes you've been recording. The way this does it, and it may do that on the left, I'm not sure which, or right, but on this, it pops up in a little circle for just a second, and it's not all the way up at the top right. It's down a little bit, and it just pops up and it says recording. Down on your information strip on the bottom, that's where you're going to be looking to see, am I recording? It's going to show if it's paused, if it's recording, if it's off. That's where you're going to know, not looking at a counter that's up there all the time. So there are some important things on that information strip down there that you're probably going to want to see. I am all over the place. Hans, I know I'm hogging the show, but there's a lot of things I'm thinking of. You mentioned the monocular attachment. That does not come with the unit as it's sold here in the U.S. It's something that can be purchased separately. They're about $250, and I'm very sad to say it makes it a 5-power optic. It is also a very long eyepiece. It's 4 to 6 inches long. It makes this really big, kind of awkward. And again, it is a 5-power unit. I'll just be honest. If you want one of those, we'll special order one for you. But I haven't found anybody who really wanted the 5-power monocular yet. So most guys are just not using that. Had it been, say a 1.5 or 2.5 power, I think it would have been a lot more popular. But at 5 power, most guys just don't need that kind of magnification for their monocular. So it is an option out there, but it's not wildly popular. Couple more things I want to mention while I'm just kind of on this roll here. The recording that you're going to see out of this has to be remembered. And I think there's a lot of guys that just don't grasp this. Any recording, video recording that you see from a Krypton came from this unit it is recording right here. And this sits in front of your 12-inch long daytime scope. The recording you see here will likely be better than what you see through the scope, because it is done here. You're not looking through multiple pieces of glass to see this computer screen that's inside of here. Right. Okay. So that's something to remember. If you see a video and you say, oh my gosh, that's fantastic, you're probably going to see a little less than that through the scope. If you see that video and you go, oh my gosh, that's not great, you're probably going to see a little less than that through the scope.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Also worth mentioning that and I don't know why this is, on most Pulsar units, they record in 1024 by 768 resolution. This unit records in 960 by 720. So it's actually recording in a lower resolution. I don't really know why that is, but it is. Again, I'm not talking about the 640 by 480, 17 micron. It's the actual recording of it. All right, Hans, I've talked straight here for 20 minutes. I know there's a lot of other things we want to get into, but I didn't want to leave any of this major stuff out while I was kind of going around the walk around. What have I missed here you've been sitting there going, what about this?
Sounded like you were trying to put together like a 10,000 piece erector set of
it's a little bit like
Disney princess.
It's a little bit like
extra
that.
Legos, and you finish and you're like, how do I have 100 pieces left over and I'm finished?
Yeah.
No, there's a lot, and I know folks, don't be overly intimidated by it. If Jason and I know this is our full-time job, but honestly, y'all, when we first got these things, you and I sat in a Whataburger parking lot, which if you're not familiar with Whataburger, it is a fast food restaurant, very famous down here in Texas, where we usually meet up. We sat in the parking lot in your truck and basically put these things together right out of the box.
We fumbled a little bit because we didn't.
We fumbled, but it's not. There are your stacking components. There's more to it than just slapping a rifle on your scope. Like a regular dedicated thermal scope, but it's not as difficult as it seems. Like I said, there's a lot of help out there too, and a lot of resources that you can use. But we can definitely help you.
Speaking of that, there is this is worth noting. In the box are quick start guides. That's what Pulsar puts in there. Quick start guide. If you want the full manual, which it's going to explain way more, it's online.
Right.
You'll have to, you can Google it, you can find it. Pulsar puts it on their website, but it is not in the box. So if you get this and you're like, I don't know where to start and stop, and this doesn't tell me, you need the manual. And the manual is online in a PDF. That way they can make changes, if there's been changes to the firmware, what have you. So I know that I just kicked it back to you, and I'm going to take it back over, but there's a couple things that I do want to talk about in this unit, and that I just don't want to forget this. So, and it really has to do more with the menu and how it's working. So guys, I'm going to tell you, some people put these on their rifles or on their scopes, and they don't experience much, maybe none, POI shift. However, we did. We experienced POI shift, and from our understanding, it seems to be fairly common. Now, I know immediately there's this collective, sigh. Oh my goodness. The good thing is you do not have to re-zero your scope. What you can do is Pulsar has a feature in here. You actually press and hold this menu button for 10 seconds, and it brings up a little XY axis, somewhat similar to what you would normally do when you're zeroing a thermal scope. It's a little different, but you're basically going to have to move that. They call it calibrating the screen. You're going to move this screen until you're now, when you shoot, you're hitting right where your daytime optic reticle is. And I guess that's something, I should mention for some people that don't quite understand. There is no reticle in this. You're using the crosshair in your daytime scope. So that's why if you're watching videos of these, you won't see a crosshair. That's because it's recorded in front of the daytime scope. The reticle is provided by your optic. So you're looking through there. So if you have a POI shift, which I think is pretty likely, you're going to need to go in here and adjust this. Now, one thing that needs to be noted is that there's not multiple profiles in here. So if you want to move this from rifle to rifle, unfortunately, you're probably, or from optic to optic, maybe I should say, you may have to adjust those settings for each optic. I'm just telling you, there's a little bit there. If you're wanting to move this across, 4 different rifle scopes, you might run into some issues with having POI shift across all of those. You may find a creative way to fix that. Maybe that is because it's all digital. There's an X and a Y axis. Yeah. You can read those numbers. You could save that and say, this is what I do for my, my Vortex 3 to 9, 50 millimeter. This is where I put the X and the Y for my Zeiss scope, what have you. But it is worth noting that you would also not be able to make any adjustments to where this is pointing. You remember how I was showing you all that? You start moving that, those X and the Y are going to change again. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, Hans, I know we've talked about a lot of weird things, but I think we need to really, this is the point we want to drive home in this show. I think we need to talk about not just who it's good for. I think we'll do that towards the end, but what scopes this is realistically good for, and maybe what it's not good for and why. So go ahead.
I'm going to say, what optics it's good for. The recommendation from Pulsar is 1.5 to 6 power. I'm going to back that down a little, honestly. I'm going to say what if you're running a daytime optic, and a lot of people are using high-end daytime optics and they want to keep it on there, but it's really going to be good for guys that are running a 1 power. I ran it on a 3 power, and that's kind of stretching it. So,
tell them why they say one.
Well, so like I said, Pulsar says 1.5 to 6 power base magnification is what's recommended for, or max magnification 6 power. The reason why 3 power is stretching it is a little bit what Jason mentioned. When you are running a 3 power base daytime optic, and you're looking through your scope and into the clip-on, the thermal image through the device, at 3 power, you cannot see the entire thermal screen. So to be more exact, at the bottom of the screen, when you're with the videos that you saw, at the very bottom, there's what we call an info strip. So it's got information of what mode you're in, the time, if you're recording or not. There's a lot of information down there at the bottom. Well, at 3 power, if let's say you want to have the info strip in your sight through the daytime scope, that means whenever you try to go into the menu, the full menu of the scope, it's going to cut off some of that stuff on the screen. If you want to see if it's so the recording icon is kind of in the top right. If you are, if the viewfinder, if you want the info strip in your screen, that recording icon is not going to show up in your scope, and it's hard to understand. And that's why, if you're interested, you definitely got to call us, because we got to talk through this. But without being able to show it, it's a little bit difficult to understand. But you just, at 3 power, you're not going to be able to see all the information, all the text, all the entire menu, the info strip, and the recording indicator all at the same time on 3 power. I guess that's the most plain way to put it.
I think that's the perfect way of putting it. Here's the weird part. Hans has got a 3 to 9 50 millimeter vortex. That's probably one of the most common daytime rifle scopes in America. I mean, a 3 to 9 50 millimeter. I was running on a I don't know if I was a 3 to 12 or 3 to 14. It's a Zeiss 42 millimeter. Now, this is where things get kind of weird. So even though mine was a 3 power and it was a 42 millimeter, I could see a little more of the screen than he could at 50 millimeter. Right. Okay. So it's kind of strange. But it's just the way that the optic was built. I still cannot see everything on the screen at 3 power. So I think that's personally the maximum that I would want. I have 1 power, a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5. That is where I think that's the scope that this is really designed for. I think if you've got, I can tell you this is my opinion. I'm going to say this out loud, and Hans, you can shoot me if I'm wrong, but if you've got a 4 to 14 or large, I mean, I'd say a 4 to, let's just say a 4 power or larger base mag, this is not going to work. Right. I mean, do you agree with that? I mean, it's just not ideally.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And when we've had people call and ask about it, that's one of the first thing Jason and I are going to bring up. What daytime scope are you running? And there's been some guys that you've told them, like, I run a 5 power, 5 to 20 power scope.
Yeah. I mean,
and you're like, man, this is, it's going to be better for, something 1 to 3. And they're like, oh man, okay, well, thanks for letting me know. Yeah. But it's very important. Last thing you want to do is get this thing, $5,300 and it not work. And the last thing a dealer wants to do is sell you something that they know is not going to work and have to feel, fool with that. But yeah, definitely 1 to 3 is going to be the
and it doesn't. And folks, I don't mean that your scope can't go up to 9 or 12 or 20 power. Right. I don't care about that. Right. I'm just talking about the usable range. Now, I'm going to say one more thing that I was playing with this, and I think this is worth noting. You can zoom up above 3. Say you get into that 4 or 5 power. You can still see through the unit. You can still shoot. You can still do everything. It's still a usable optic, but you will have no ability to see any of your information strip on the bottom. You may not be able to see if you press the menu button, so that menu pops up. You may not see all that. So there's going to be, as long as you're not trying to do that, if you just got the unit and it's like, hey, there's a coyote out there at 250 yards and I need to shoot him and I can't shoot him at 1.5 or 2 power, crank that buddy up. If that's, I mean, really, you're still going to be able to see through the unit. You're still going to have your crosshairs from your daytime scope. You're going to be able to take that shot. Okay. So I want to make sure we're explaining it well. People don't understand, think they cannot zoom it up. You can, but you've also got to remember, you've got a fixed screen here that you're looking at inside this unit, and you are just zooming in on that. So as you zoom up, it is making, you're seeing less and less and less of that screen as you drill into it, per se, with your magnification. So your field of view is going to get narrower. Now, the one outlier here that we haven't talked about is, what if you got a 56 millimeter scope? Well, now that's different. Okay. I mean, you may have a wide enough field of view that maybe at 3 power, you are able to see a little more of this information. So maybe you're able to see it all. It's going to be optic to optic to optic dependent. Just like my 42 millimeter will see a little more than Hans's 50 millimeter. So you're going to have to play with it, but we can generally say 3 power needs to be about the tops of your optic. And if you're going to get this thing and you're going to look through it and you're going to say, I can't see that whole strip at the bottom, that's a no-go for me. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
answer. If you're willing to say, hey, you know what? If I can see most of it, if I can, I can see the crosshairs, I can shoot, I'm doing good, go for it. But if you're concerned about that, I can't see all the menu, then I would say it's a no-go. Now, I think we've explained that pretty well. Again, guys, we're not trying to be negative. We're trying to be honest because this is a lot of money. I mean, this is a lot. We want to make sure you know what you're getting. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and the cons. We've talked about a lot of the cons per se. I'm going to kind of go down that real quick. Just a few things that I think. Number one, we've already mentioned you may have to make the adjustment to your zero in here, not into your daytime scope, but in here, because there could be a POI shift. I think that it is, I don't want to say this is difficult, but there is a lot of things going on. I mean, you're going to have to be prepared to, get the mount on your rifle, whether you use the adapters over your scope or, ideally you mount it with the Picatinny rail mount. That's the easiest. But you're going to have to be prepared for that. If you're going to move it from rifle to rifle, it's going to take some adjusting. It's going to take, if you're using those adapters, getting the different inserts, if it's a different objective lens size. Again, we've already mentioned, you're going to want to stick with the lower base power on your scopes. I think that the truth is, guys, it's just kind of what we brought up about clip-ons before. And I guess this is probably the spoiler of kind of, have we completely changed our mind? The image that you're going to see looking through your daytime scope, and I don't care how good of a scope it is. I mean, I'm using a Zeiss. It's a nice scope. Looking through there, looking at this image will not be anywhere near as good as if you bought another Pulsar, 640 high resolution thermal scope.
Regular Thermion
XP50.
It's not, yeah. So, and I don't think that's a controversial statement. No. I think anybody would agree with that. I even think Pulsar would agree with that. Which you're buying a clip-on for, though, is the convenience of it, and that's what attracts people the most. But yeah, anybody that we've talked to, and this is the case for any clip-on by any manufacturer, you're going to get more for your money by buying a dedicated thermal rifle scope. But these clip-ons, and let's go back very quickly. These clip-ons are very popular in Europe. I mean, and that's why we have it. That's why we have it, y'all. That's because they put it out in Europe. People over there go crazy for it. I think people are getting more on board with the idea of it here, but again, it's not as popular as it is over there. With
not
the
even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. So Hans is right. I mean, it's not even close. So we'll get back kind of in our summary. Hans was dead on with all that. All right, so let's talk about some of the things we like. I like the fact, and Hans, I mean, chime in anytime. I'm just taking over here. I like the fact that you get everything in the box. I mean, this is from the Picatinny mount to the objective lens adapters to all the inserts to, I mean, it's everything you need. The remote control, whatever. This is a package deal. And I like that. You don't have to have anything else to use this unit and mount it on your rifle.
Right. Yeah, it's a very, what we call a nice presentation. When you get it, nice case, all the accessories you need. I mean, that's the great thing is people get overwhelmed by what accessories do I need? What do I need to get? What else do I need to buy? There's usually a list of things that sometimes go with an optic. But this, it's nice to be able to tell somebody, hey, it's all in the box.
Right.
What you get, whatever size daytime scope you're using, pretty much, you're going to have an adjustment to fix it. So, or to make it fit. So that's a great positive. I also like, obviously the battery life on it. I mean, it's 8-hour runtime on the battery. These battery packs are, if you're familiar with the Helions or the Trail 2s or the old Trails, these battery packs, the Accolades, takes these battery packs. So very interchangeable. I love the battery pack on it. I love the fact that it does give great battery life. And to tell you the truth, I mean, in Pulsar fashion, it is from a I guess a technology standpoint, it is pretty easy to figure out and use and maneuver through the menu. Once you get it technically set up and where
physically
it's mounted
set
on your
up.
physically, yeah, that's a better word. Physically set up on your scope. Maneuvering through the menus and setting it up and getting all that done, not that hard at all. It's really not.
No.
I mean, once you, like you said, once you get it physically set up, that's probably the most difficult part of it, I would say. And other than that, it's very simple.
Yeah, the when you get into the main menu, it is simpler. Is that a word? More simple.
Simpler.
It is
More
easier
simple, yeah.
than the menu on a normal Pulsar thermal rifle
Correct.
scope, which I think is really easy. There's just less options because you don't have reticles, you don't have zeroing, and all that stuff. So it's really easy to maneuver. I think two more things I would say. I do appreciate, and this kind of goes along with all the accessories, but I do appreciate that there is multiple ways to mount it. I mean, it's, you mount it using those adapters. You got a wide range of optics that you can put it on. I like the fact you can use the Picatinny rail adapter as well. And I think the final thing, and this is a big deal, is of all the clip-ons that I've handled, and I've handled a lot, this is not going to be a shock to any Pulsar owner or anybody who's familiar with Pulsar. It's just a dang well-built unit. I mean, it just, when you touch it and you feel it, and I'll say this, it's kind of heavy, but it's a Pulsar. It is nice. This is all well thought out. This menu, this focus, I mean, the battery, it is a well-made, designed, high-quality optic, exactly what you would expect from Pulsar if you're familiar with them. This is why people buy Pulsar. And even though when you go to clip this thing on, there's a lot of adjustments. Like I said, you can move all this and you need 3 hands. But in reality, that's a benefit that they're giving you rather than just put it on there. Well, I can't see everything. Well, sorry. I mean, they're giving you all these options to make it fit a wider variety of optics. And again, once you see how to set it up, it's going to be easier after the first time. Like anything, you get the first one done, you go, okay, I see what if I move this here and what this is doing. So, there's that. Now, I know we're going along on this show, but these clip-ons are so complicated. There's just a lot going on that rather than just slapping a scope on your rifle, Hans, realistically, at the end of the day, who is this good for? And who is it maybe not good for? Let's talk about that. There are customers out there that this is the perfect unit for them. They buy them. They're super happy. Who is that guy?
We didn't talk about this at all, so you and I might disagree. I would say that this is going to be perfect for somebody that considers themselves a daytime hunter first. And an occasional nighttime hunter.
Bingo.
If you are hunting or if you plan on night hunting, several times a month, a dozen times a month, if this is going to be a big hobby for you, night hunting, this probably isn't the optic for you. If you consider yourself a big time daytime hunter, whether it's deer hunting, whatever you're hunting, predator hunting, anything during the day. But at night, you don't want to get out of stand a few times a month or occasionally. If you just would say, you know what, I want to stay in after dark and shoot a coyote at this pig that's laying over here, I'm just going to slip this clip on in. So I would say it is for the occasional nighttime hunter, and for somebody that really considers them a dedicated daytime hunter, that loves their daytime optic, doesn't want to take it off, and wants to shoot a little bit after dark. That's what I would say is going to be perfect for.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This is not for the nighttime hunter that you're going out and doing this all the time. Even if you say, well, I only hunt seasonally, maybe I just hunt in the cool months, after deer season. So, maybe it's January, February, March, but I hunt a lot then. Well, still probably not for you. But if you're like Hans said, if you're the occasional guy, I think if you're the guy, this is who I think has been over the years my largest clip-on customer, and it's the guy who has a high-end custom rifle. Okay, whether that's a bolt gun, whether it's an AR, it is a high-end, fancy custom rifle, and he's got a very expensive scope on it. Whether that's a Zeiss, a Swarovski, a Smith Bender, whatever it is, he's got a nice optic, and it's like, this is my baby. This thing is blood, sweat, and tears. It cost a whole lot of money, and I want to go out and kill a coyote tonight, or I want to go kill a hog tonight, or I'm going out with, got invited to go on this hunt. That's another thing. Maybe I'm invited to go on this hunt. We're going to go out there, but man, I want to take my favorite rifle, and I don't want to take the scope off. I think that's who it's for. I think it's really, really good for that guy who says, I want to clip this thing on. Again, I'm going to go a few times, what have you. And I know there's some people going, well, who'd pay $5,300 and do that? But, there's a lot of guys that have thousands of dollars in their custom rifle and daytime optics. So I think it, can make sense for them. I think that the idea that a lot of people have is that, I've got 5, Woodstock bolt guns in the gun safe. I got my 270, my 243, my 308, and I'm just going to move this from rifle to rifle to rifle. And some of those optics are 3 power, and some are going to be 4.5 power, and some may be 6 power. I don't think this is the perfect optic for that. I think you would be cheaper and better off buying another rifle or using one of those, something else you got in the gun safe, and putting a dedicated scope on it. Again, Pulsar makes some fabulous dedicated thermal scopes that cost less than this, that you will get a better experience out of on a dedicated, dedicated setup. But if that's not what you want to do, and that's not right for you, then this is an option. Guys, if you've been watching this show, you know that we try to be very honest about the scopes. We always try to nitpick, find what we don't like, find what we do like. We've done the same thing on this show. I think there's a lot of people that are going to hear this show and they're going to say, these guys were just negative Nancy. And I don't think that's true at all. I think we're being, honest. And I think we're telling you what it will do and what it won't do. And Hans said it, the very last thing we want to do as a dealer is to sell you something that we know in the back of our minds probably not going to work for what he wants it to do. Because why? Well, number one, it's dishonest. Number two, we're going to have an unhappy customer. And that is not what we're here for. We're here for happy customers. We're here for repeat business. We're here for word of mouth business. And that's what we've tried to do at the Late Night Vision Show, is bring you the honest reviews. Do I think that this is a, whatever the word is, a don't buy? This is our first negative review ever done. Don't buy it. It's trash. No, by no means. I think it's one of the best clip-ons we've ever seen. I just think you need to understand what it's really made for, how it's really going to work, so that there's no confusion about it or surprises when you get it.
Yep, well said. So if you're interested in purchasing the Pulsar Krypton or any other night vision or thermal optic, or if you just need to figure it out and see what's right for you, give us a call. Again, you can talk to me or Jason at 877-350-1818. You can find, again, all of our products on OutdoorLegacyGear.com. Go check us out on all the social medias. You can find us on you can find Outdoor Legacy on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all the forums. You can find me on YouTube at Hans ETX. And on Instagram at Hans ETX, that's Hans ETX. Go check out all of our past episodes on the LateNightVisionShow.com. Thank y'all for watching again. It's been a great week.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate you. Anything you need, you know where to find us. We hope to be back next week with another great show. Between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields. Keep making those bacon pancakes.